Unique New York.
Me.
Unique New York. All right, here we go. Me. Hello, Sarah Haynes.
Hello, Brian.
Joining me behind the table is the one and only Sarah Haynes. How are you?
I'm good.
This is our first post-break podcast with you. How was your week off?
Oh my gosh, my week was amazing. Max and I and the kids went to Turks, and that was what?
Turks and Caicos.
Turks.
Not like a guy named
No,
Turk's
Sandra
house.
kept asking, why do they just call it Turks? Like as if this was a profound thought.
Yes.
But Turks and Caicos, we just swam, we ate. The kids got a snorkel for the first time.
Oh, that's exciting.
I was expecting more excitement though because Alec loves marine biology, and that's what when I first snorkeled, I remember thinking I'm going to be a marine biologist. But the waves were bothering. I think they got a little bit of Max's finickiness because like Max kept swimming back to the boat. I was like, "Let me see the purple fish. It's like Nemo under here," and no one else is like having their moment.
Are you doing Seinfeld? What is happening?
I don't know what voice that was.
Between the
It was
marine
snorkel.
biologist and the
It was the snorkel
Yeah.
mask.
What's the deal with snorkels?
But it was phenomenal. The kids found this little gang of other kids, and they all like went gecko hunting.
Oh, that's great when they
and
make
it's
friends
So
and-
cute.
yeah.
In fact, just today or yesterday, they were like, "Are we going to be able to have their?" It's a family in Long Island.
Oh, wow.
2 girls, and they were like, "Are we going to be able to invite Tessa and Avery over? We missed them." And I was like, "Yeah, we have it in our phone. All the 3
Sure.
families we met."
You'll invite them, but nobody wants to go from Long Island to your house. It's
I
a
thought
long,
that,
it's a
but
long
then I
trek.
said to Max, "But Brian and Heather said they would, so that
Yeah,
means."
but we haven't, and we've worked together
Well,
for
and
10
I guess
years.
you're obligated because we work together. So
And I
it's not
haven't.
like-
I still haven't. I am obligated, and I still haven't done it.
Well, you haven't given me a muddy nutty drink or monkey bunky purple that drink.
It's the monkey nuts. That's why I was.
That's
saying.
even better
No,
than I was
it's called.
thinking.
The drink is called the monkey nut, and so
Just one nut.
the monkey nut is phenomenal. It's the best drink ever made, and they used to make it at a bar in South Carolina that I used to go to in Hilton Head. And then it was one bartender that made it, and then he was leaving. He was taking his business, his talents to another place, and so
I
I
left this one monkey nut.
he gave me the recipe, and then I was able to make the
It
monkey
sounds
nut.
friggin' amazing.
It's terrific. It's got Kahlua. It's got some
A
Reese's,
nut, a monkey nut.
some Reese's peanut butter cup on top
Yeah.
as a garnish. It's
It
very,
sounds like
very good.
dessert.
All right. You celebrated Easter with the family down.
Yes.
Were you in Turks?
No,
for it,
we were
or-
back.
Okay.
and I wanted to be back because I love my church. And Max went.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I had said, I'd asked him before we left, on
This is Max's first trip to church?
No,
Close?
he's been there. In fact, we had to remind the kids. They're like, "Papa's never been to." He's like,
Yeah.
"I've been there twice."
Right.
Like, and
They
but
expect the ceiling to come down when he walks in? Or?
yeah. Well, one thing was he did say, which is strange. The church is so welcoming. Everyone's amazing. It's a very mixed group of people.
Right.
But he said the one feeling he had, as much as he actually really enjoyed the sermon and the service, was he said, "I just kind of kept feeling out of place." And I was like, "That's always feels that way." It's like going to yoga when you go once a year.
Yeah.
You're always the one that you feel like you're out of place, but no one else thinks you're out of place. So, but it was lovely having him because Easter, I tried to explain to him, I was pouting.
Well, for those who don't know, Max was raised Jewish.
He's ethnically Jewish. His parents are a hodgepodge of whatever, but he's just not a church guy. And so, but it means so much to me. And Easter, when I was a kid, Christmas always ruled the day. But if you really understand, Easter's a bigger holiday.
Sure.
And so it just meant a lot to sit next to him and like have him there because I take the kids every Sunday and they run around. People were so excited to be able to say to Max, like, "Oh, we love your kids." And like,
Yeah.
it just felt complete.
Oh, that's really
So
nice.
it was nice.
That's nice. And then does the Easter Bunny come to your house? What happens?
The Easter Bunny did come. That one was hard to explain. So I had like a lot of, I didn't do a lot of candy. I did more of the bath bombs, things that we had talked about on the show.
Yeah.
But I got strangely a lot of Easter Bunny questions that I didn't feel the need to double down. It's not Santa Claus to me, but Caleb started to get scared at night. Like, how does this bunny get into our house at night? And I thought, I can't decide if the Easter Bunny's causing more problems for me than it is.
I mean, the Easter Bunny is the scariest being to take a photo with.
well, because you saw Donnie
Dark.
Darko, right?
Yes, of course.
I can't go near a bunny.
Yeah. All right. So
Not enough
so
Jesus
were there-
in that
were there-
bunny.
Were there eggs hidden or no?
No, well, we didn't. We knew we were doing an Easter egg hunt later for our brunch that we went to.
Okay.
So we didn't have to hide them. But then the kids did their do-it-yourself Easter eggs.
Yeah, sure.
And wanted to hide them. And they were filling Easter eggs full of all chocolate chips. I was like, 1, that stuff's going to open in my house.
Right.
2, get out. Like, they were making a mess. But I thought, Sarah, let them be creative. Let them just have fun. Leave them alone. in the spirit of Easter.
My thing about the Easter baskets, and we'll move on certainly from this in a moment, but my thing about the Easter baskets is they've become like you're talking about. Like my kids, when Easter baskets come, they're filled with skincare products and Roblox gift cards and things like that.
It's Christmas.
I want a giant bunny that doesn't really taste very good, a big chocolate bunny about like 6 feet
The hollowed
tall.
ones? Do you remember the hollowed ones? Those were so good.
A lot of grass and jelly beans in the middle of it.
Only the red ones, though.
Yeah, I just...
Jelly beans ruin an Easter.
I don't know. I want the old school stuff. I want like half
the Reese's
candy
peanut butter cup eggs.
Yeah, those are great.
You bring it on. I'll
like
take
a Cadbury cream egg or two. But this is even though it's not really tasty, I like these things.
It's disgusting. I used to give those to these two twins at my church. Yeah.
Well, we know how you feel about twins. All right. Speaking of religion, we had Senator and Reverend Raphael Warnock here yesterday and said that America is in a spiritual crisis and that Jesus is the biggest person dealing with identity theft right now, which I thought was actually really well phrased. He's basically criticizing people who use Christianity to push their agendas.
Yeah.
What did you think of what he said?
Well, it's not a new theft of identity. I feel like is anyone that's I don't know if religious is the word, but I grew up in the church knowing the Bible, knowing the person Jesus was, what his message is, all of that stuff. When you hear people weaponizing religion against anybody, you realize they've lost their way. And I think it's really offensive because of the type of person Jesus was. And Senator Warnock referenced this, and I had referenced it the day before. The Pope's passing was tough because this was the most Jesus-like Pope I'd ever witnessed. And I'm not Catholic, but his life and the messages he left, even the last one, his last words were very much like Jesus. And Senator Warnock said the same thing. People that leave the message of marginalized people that have been left behind, the poor. Oh my gosh, poverty is such a huge messaging. Help people, that sense of duty. People have gotten so far from that, yet they want to use it when they want to beat up someone that they quote some kind of weird thing. And they're like, the Bible says, don't do this, don't do. The two resonating messages of the Bible were love thy neighbor. And that, as Joy said, I don't love my neighbors. It's more like an attempt to love everyone around you and not judge them. That was never the job we were given. And the judgment in this world is probably the biggest offense of those identity thefts.
Yeah. That's one of the only ways Joy isn't Jesus like there is to love my neighbor. All right. So
there's the Pope and then there's Joy, and it's a spectrum. Don't play this on Friday's show, please.
No, please. All right. We also talked today about Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, and how she addressed not attending President Trump's inauguration, which has been a topic we've talked about a couple of times. But she said that people couldn't believe that she was saying no to things like this and just assumed that her marriage was falling apart. It couldn't just be that she didn't want to do something and was making a decision. What do you think about that? I mean, do you have a problem saying no? This has been a theme on the show we've been talking about.
No, I'm getting better. I got the best lesson in learning to say no was after having kids. And I think it was a combination of purpose, but also this idea of how fleeting time is and how we don't really put a price tag on our time as we're growing up because it's just something you hand out to like be the hardest worker, to do the right thing. If you want to climb the ladder, you're going to do this, all those things. And then you start to see the preciousness of time as you see your parents age, as you see your kids the same pace on different ends of life. And you look and you think, wow, my time has value. It's meaningful. But the other thing is about specifically Michelle Obama is I don't think many people, we've started to equate the first family with celebrity. They become celebrity over time, but so few people know what that life in the White House is like. And I think one thing people forget because they think, who wouldn't want to be a president? Who wouldn't want to be a first family? The obligations involved in what the Obamas had to do, their kids had to do, the time lost with each other.
No, your lives belong to the American people.
It is public service. I don't care if there are buttons to have whatever you want to eat. I don't care if you live in the White House. Your family becomes secondary to the service to the country. And I think when you see all that people have done, and she wasn't the president, she was the first lady. She was an amazing first lady. But I think someone once used the term begrudgingly. When your partner turns to you and says, I'm going to be the president, are you ready? Who's ever really wanting to go along for that ride? Because your marriage takes a back seat. Everything takes a back seat. So I feel like when they leave, this is the time to let them off the hook. Like they've given so much, and she remains a powerful voice. And she's such an example to women, to moms. She's so empowering to me that I'm just like, please leave her alone.
Yeah, no, I
let her
understand that.
live. I don't care anything else. Just let her live.
It's funny, you were talking about time and the value of it, and it was reminding me of an article I read last week that really spoke to me, because it was talking about how people, and I'm one of these people, they kind of live for the weekend, or they live for their next trip, or they live for their next vacation, and what you give up in doing that, and the time you lose in doing that.
We think of life as heading somewhere, but where are you going?
Right.
Because the one destination we all reach is death.
Yes.
But in between, we're never younger than we are today. We're never more, like, I would say healthy, assuming health problems aren't your issue. Your parents are never younger. Your kids are never, everyone today is their best. And yet we hand it off. Running from the presence. And that's where I think if I could get you to meditate, I could really help you.
I have meditated. I like it a lot. I just have to find the time.
Dan Harris, he said, if you say you don't have time for it, you need it more than anyone. But he got me started. He said, frequency is more important than the length of time. So I started with 5 minutes a day, and I promised myself, and it's good.
Okay. Another hot topic we talked about today was Ben Affleck and how he's teaching his kids to work for the things that they want. He won't just buy everything for them.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first big purchase you made when you had your own money and real money?
I'm not a big purchase person. So the things I remember spending are after all those jobs, I moved to New York and I paid my own rent. I was, my parents right after college. In fact, for college, we still had to work for our extra money. But when I moved out, I remember the first check, writing it for rent and feeling, oh my gosh, like I didn't need anyone.
What about an indulgence? Is there nothing that like you kind of jewelry or a bag or?
You know me too well. Max would laugh at this and be like, "Oh, a big purchase like that. I don't buy. I like experiences, so I like a facial or a spa treatment, but things I don't spend. I'm learning to be better about spending on things I should. That quality lasts longer,
right?
But I don't really have anything super nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sad.
I remember the first big job I had when I was a producer. I took my paycheck and I went and got the original iPod. This is how old I am.
Oh my gosh, the iPod.
And that was like $400, and that felt like an incredible indulgence, and it was. But I wanted it so badly, and it was very, very cool. So that's like one of the only ones that stick out in my mind.
No, those are fun, though. I think the biggest things, all my things are practical, but I also remember buying the first piece of furniture for my apartment and thinking, oh gosh, I have to put a couch in here.
Yeah.
And looking at the price, I'd be like, that cannot be the price of a couch. I definitely am my father's daughter, so
right.
I'm making the 1940s
do you feel like your kids understand the value of money yet? They're still young.
Well, Sandra said one thing that was actually funny. I was talking about how my parents, I love that every birthday and Christmas, we try to deter gifts and it just gets to be too much. But my parents also have always contributed to 529s on the holidays. They give money.
Nice.
But my dad sends a little print of fake money to say, the kids don't get it. Sandra said something like, oh, I'll just take some of the money that Grandma and Grandpa gave me. And I was explaining, I was like, no, that's for a college fund. And she goes, but you and Papa will pay for college. And I was like, oh, sweet child. We're going to sit down and talk about how much college costs, that this is not something you're entitled to. But she's innocent. She really doesn't understand all those things. But I'm big on that. We have them, they have to do chores. They have to feel like they're part of the family.
Yeah.
We don't buy things. They know that's for special occasions. So but it's hard in this day and age because I think Max and I have more than my parents had. And I don't feel any temptation to give them everything, but I do.
But it's still hard to deny them.
It is. But I also realize that my parents, I never wanted for anything. They were able to provide, thank God. But I remember like wanting to reuse my shoes for sports and things, even though they were a little worn out. Cause I was like, Mom, I don't want you to have to buy it. Cause like she'd work her nursing hours and was a mom. And so I want them to understand that because I think it's more than just the virtue of hard work and knowing you have to earn it. It's the joy I get from things, the pleasure I get from simpler things when you don't expect it. When you see people that have gotten everything they've ever wanted, their expectations of what life is going to look like it's setting them up to be very unhappy.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that. I think you're right. Lily does, my 10-year-old.
Yeah, I know Lily.
You know, she makes me coffee every morning.
I know.
That's
You've
part
got
of her
her
chores.
trained very well,
And
but
she
she
feeds
loves
the dog.
it, right?
She loves it. She's up. She's excited. She's very upset if she misses me. But she values that money that she makes, her
Yep.
$5 a week or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and she is stingy with it. I mean,
Good.
when I ask her,
I
like when
love
she
this.
wants something, and I say, well, you know, you can use the money you have, and she's like, well, no, I don't want it that much.
Yep.
So I mean, but that's good. I like that she's picking up on it. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, the kid makes a mean cup of coffee.
I know. I didn't know you paid her for them.
Oh yeah. No, this is all
When
part
you
of
first
it.
told it was so charming. It was like she loves running up to me with a coffee. Now I realize it's like she's earning money on
No,
it.
she's her father's daughter. I
I
mean, she
know.
knows what to do.
No, she does.
All right. So also on the show today, Bowen Yang was
Oh,
here.
I love him.
He's a really great guest. I mean, he's one of the most fun people. And you asked him about Amy Lou Wood from The White Lotus.
Yes.
Getting upset that she was parodied on SNL and how they made fun of her teeth. He said that it was a reminder for comedians that sometimes the jokes can be hurtful.
Yeah.
And SNL generally does a good job, I think, of punching up and not down. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what the conversation is. But what did you think about what he said?
I loved what he said.
very compassionate.
Well, because I've always said that if there's going to be an area you forgive people, or at least I do, is comedy. Because the best people are walking right up to that line. So to find the line each time, sometimes you're going to overswing. You know,
Right.
you're going to hit too hard. And in regard to Amy Lou specifically, I could see how you could misgauge it as someone that watched White Lotus, but also read some of the articles. She was talking a lot about how, clearly because people were talking about her teeth, but she talked about how what once plagued her could be her beauty. And so I could see how you might think safely that was not something that, you know, but I what I appreciated the most is you can't ever tell what's going to offend. And the people are more important than the jokes. And the fact that she said SNL's been in touch and she's been in touch and
Yeah.
that's the way to handle it.
Right.
Is don't be forever offended. Don't promise you're never going to watch again. Just they tried, they tested, they overstepped in this instance, and they handled it.
they were receptive. Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
think
the
it was
thing.
awesome.
You know, we talked about this, that you have been on SNL.
I have,
Yeah.
but not the way I want. My dream was always to be a member of the cast. That's why I came to New York City. Not because I
Yes.
actually thought I could be on SNL, but sketch comedy.
Right.
So anything that's even on the periphery
But you've
of
been parodied
SNL.
twice. I mean, that's pretty good.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's as close up as I'm probably going to get.
I think it's better.
I gave tours of the studio, and then I get
And then you get parodied on the studio. On the
No,
show.
I mean it is.
Yeah.
They're epic moments.
This is
in my life.
rarefied air. I
yeah,
think
it's
pretty good.
definitely like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Even when men have played Whoopi and Joy, we've considered it an honor, or they've considered it an honor. So I think, you know.
Yeah, but they're Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar. If
Sure.
Sarah Haynes is played by like a puppet, I'd still be thrilled. Like
I would watch that. I would watch that.
Me too.
Speaking of comedy, we have a listener question for you.
Yeah.
This is from Ruben in Florida. He says, "Hi, Sarah. I think you're very funny and very quick with your comedy. Oh. Have you ever considered doing stand-up?
Ruben, meet Lorne Michaels. Lorne Michaels, meet Ruben.
Have you ever considered doing stand-up? I'm a big fan of you and the podcast. Thank
Well,
you.
first of all, hi, Ruben. And I have to tell you, you made my day. That is the best question you could ever
Yes.
ask, because I did come to New York to do comedy, but stand-up is a different beast. I always say you kind of have to know your barriers. I stand-up, people show up and they want you to make them laugh. That's a big expectation. I like kind of storytelling and being funny accidentally in a character, over the top moment, a reference.
Right.
So it's more casual humor. Like it's.
Did you try improv and things like that?
I did improv. I did Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yeah.
So I loved it. Sketch and improv are my two favorite forms
What
of
made
comedy.
you stop?
Well, so when I went on air at NBC, the lawyers approached me and they had a very fair complaint. They said, the problem we're having is we live in a time where everyone has a phone in their hands. And with improv, the first rule is you don't say no to anything. It's
Right.
yes, and.
Yes, and.
So if someone...
Which, by the way, I'd like you to do here at work.
Yeah. See, it
That'd be
only
great.
carries over in comedy.
Yeah.
But when you say someone has a insane sketch, like, because you get sometimes prompts, a word
Sure.
or something, and let's say you're using something not offensive, but you're going somewhere because you're yes-anding. Someone records it, puts it on YouTube. Done.
Yeah.
Because you're always wearing the brand of the corporations and companies you work for.
Certainly.
And I deeply respected that they explained it to me and said that's why it's hard for us. And I wasn't going to give up my current
No, you were getting a
situation.
terrific opportunity
Getting
at
a
NBC.
great opportunity.
Yeah.
But it made me sad because I remember when I came to ABC, at one point someone did say, if you wanted to do improv again, and I remember applying the legal standard to what they had told me, and I thought, I don't think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I never did it, and I couldn't quite be fully anonymous and not have the risk of something. But if there was a safe space where I could do improv and sketch, I'd in a moment do it.
Did you get to work with anybody that ended up on SNL when you were doing Upright? Because that's a lot of people come from there.
Not in the class, not in my groups or my levels. But obviously, I know a lot of people that it's kind of like the Page program. I know people that went through there before me and after me.
Sure.
So that was as close as I got.
All right. Well, what could have been sliding doors. All right. Thank you for joining me today, Sarah Haynes. We have an all new View episode tomorrow, and then we'll see you here back on the podcast on Monday. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.